Hey there, crew. Today we're going to read a story inspired by Pablo Picasso, an artist from one of my favorite countries, Spain, and it's called The Three Musicians. The beast was terrifying. A wolf, some said, but a monstrous wolf, bigger and stronger than a fighting bull. And in the kingdom of Mirador, few had seen the beast in the flesh, few had faced it, but all, young and old, knew its name, a name full of menace, and all, from the least courageous to the bravest, trembled when they heard the name Firemouth. This name was all that King Minos of Mirador would talk about. Firemouth here, Firemouth there. Firemouth had swallowed another calf, devoured 2 lambs, flayed 3 horses, without a single bone left behind. Do you understand? We must hunt down Firemouth. King Minos could only think of one thing, the beast. Nothing else could hold his interest, neither knowledge nor nature, not even love. Nada. For him, all that mattered was Firemouth, and if you let the beast do what it pleases, one day it will come and devour your children right out of your arms, he said. Oh my goodness. Yikes, those speeches were scary. Yet, instead of watching out day and night, instead of keeping a weapon at hand, of always marching in step, many subjects of the kingdom would have liked, once in a while, to think of something else. And so, as it turned out, one bright April morning, 4 strange silhouettes appeared in the city. They slipped into the streets, filled with joy, drawing the mark of their 4 mysterious profiles on the sad, bare walls of the city. When the king's bells chimed at 10 o'clock, one of the odd characters gallantly addressed the crowd in the middle of the town square. "Hear, hear, good people," he cried out in a bold and almost sing-song voice. "Many thanks for your hospitality. Here are my companions, Pierrot and Capucin. My name is Harlequin, and here is Cocopod, named for his chocolate coat. We're saltimbancos, musicians, comedians, jugglers, and a circus dog. We come to entertain you. What tune would you like to hear?" Passerby had gathered, clearly suspicious, but intrigued. Windows had opened, and eventually every balcony was filled with onlookers, but still the crowd remained silent. "Come, what dance would you like to do? Don't be shy. A slow sarabande, or a wild farandole, a crazy fandango, or a distinguished tango, or perhaps you would rather have a segadilla, or a flamenco from Seville." At last, someone spoke up. "Forgive us, we never dance. Since the beast arrived, Firemouth, we live in fear and no longer have a heart to dance." Tongues loosened, and the people began to talk about the calves, the lambs, the horses, and one day, perhaps the children too. Others spoke of round spears, and of this monster which would not show its face to the people. "My friends," answered Harlequin, "you're trying to face the beast, to hunt it, to kill it in vain. But have you thought of taming it? Let's try to charm it. Who knows, perhaps Firemouth will respond to our music." And so the acrobats got to work. This tune of song and dance, "Have Some Fun," it was a great success. While the 3 musicians were playing, Cocopod pretended to be the beast, frightening and ferocious. With all these arpeggios, trills, and tremolos, it slowly began to soften until finally it was wiggling on his back, asking to be petted. People were laughing until their sides ached. What a show, what a show. Finally bringing joy to the city. From that day on, life in the kingdom of Mirador changed. People learned to sing, to dance, to speak openly of their fears, their happiness, and all those things that make the heart beat faster. And they soon saw that outside the spade had replaced the spear, and they saw young sprouts shooting up from the rocks, green oases adding color to the scenery. Then in the coolness of the gardens came the time of courtship. People gave each other flowers, recited poems, and as for Firemouth, no one heard from him. "This does not please me at all," stormed, grumbled, and growled the king in his palace. "What a bunch of fools. So they're not scared anymore? They won't listen? They'd rather fool around with those 3 characters and their dog?" Minos of Mirador thought he was a clever man. "I have a great idea that will put everything back in order." One night his ferocious bodyguards captured Cocopod. knocked out a bull, and then smeared red paint like blood on its mouth and the other's throat. "Ha ha ha ha, so you enjoy a good show," snickered the contemptuous king to himself. "Well then, let's see what you think of this one." And there he is. And there's the red paint. The sun had just risen when the alarm was raised. The bull lay in the middle of town square. The news spread faster through the streets than a flame on a long wick. "Oh no, Firemouth has struck again. Will we never know peace?" Then King Midas appeared, raising his chin and looking superior. He felt triumphant. Behind him, in a dreadful iron cage, his guards dragged in poor and terrified Cocopod. People trembled in fear. Can it be? The circus dog? Firemouth finally unmasked? The beast certainly had us fooled. Where are its masters? They deceived us. Let's arrest them and judge them. People felt betrayed. Their anger was rising. Poor Cocopod. He's innocent. All of a sudden, in the midst of this furious brouhaha, rose a young girl's voice, clear and wise. She was standing at the edge of a window, holding up a metal pot dripping with red paint. "I saw everything," she said. "Cocopod isn't guilty. It's a trick. Look, this isn't even blood. It's red paint." Confused, the people didn't know what to believe, that is, until the knocked-out bull woke up. "It's alive." But then, so the king is the one who lied. The people were tricked. What happened next still makes people laugh today. The bull rose to its feet in a fury and charged at King Midas and the guards. No need to say how quickly they snatched up their things and ran out of sight. From that day on, the hilarious scene has been played each year in the town square on the Feast of Mirador, which is no longer a kingdom. Midas, you've learned at your own expense that putting on a show is an art that, alas, you cannot improvise, sang Harlequin, Pierrot, and Capucin, while Cocopod collects all the hurrahs and the bravos, perhaps even, who knows, those of a music-loving, charmed, and enchanted Firemouth. So, a legend and a story, all brought to you by Pablo Picasso's massive painting called The Three Musicians. So this is the original painting. There's Cocopod, the little dog. In the painting, he's just a shadow in the background. But you have the three characters with their musical instruments. And notice they're all made of shapes. So, kind of collage together. Cubism, the style of Pablo Picasso. And the illustrator of this book was inspired by Cubism in that painting because all of the illustrations have different shapes, all collaged together to create the characters and the background and the entire story. So, Pablo Picasso, The Three Musicians.